Hello, boys. I'm back again with social studies. So I would love for you to get out your social studies student book. We are on lesson number 2, which is titled Working for Government, and it is on page 79. So this is the page that we are looking at the moment. Working for Government, page 79. We'll be going through page 79, page 80, as well as page 81. So I'm going to just pause this and take you to a different screen and then share my PowerPoint with you, where I have also highlighted the page numbers that you need to turn to. You are going to follow in your books and read as we go along. I'm not going to go through everything in the book. I've highlighted important information that you need to know. So this is social studies, working for government, and then we are on page 79 to page 81 in your student book for social studies. Remember that we are starting on page 79 first. So let me start. So government has various different responsibilities, right? And in the previous lesson, we mentioned the Minister of Defense, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education, etc. We also have the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Transport, the Minister of Health. So each of these ministers work together and make sure that a specific part of the government is working properly in order for the entire government to work properly. And if the entire government works properly, the country works really well. We get a proper education. We are kept safe by our health and safety officers, which are our policemen, our firefighters, nurses and doctors in hospitals, people who drive buses and taxi cabs. There's proper recreation, which means we get to have fun and go out and do activities. We also have various utilities like water, electricity, gas, and things like that. That's taken care of by the government as well. So that is why the government has a very huge responsibility when it comes to taking care of a country. Therefore, we need various different departments um, in order for the country and the government to work well together so that we can live safely and freely and happy, right? So in the previous lesson, we mentioned ministers, which is basically a person or a government official, someone who works for the government. And then ministries, which is like the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, etc. And that is a group within the government responsible for one set of tasks. Like, for example, the Minister of Education is responsible for all things education in the country, right? So that is basically what a minister and a ministry is. So on the screen, you have healthcare, Minister of Health, Minister of Safety, which is um, Minister of Transport, Health, Agriculture, Education, the Minister of Hajj for pilgrimage, etc. So these are just a few things that we have that makes us feel safe and makes us feel that we are comfortable in our country because we have an efficient government, right? So these are just some key words. Ministry, like I mentioned, is a group within a government responsible for one set of tasks, like I mentioned about the Minister of Education. A minister, the leader of a government ministry. So the Ministry of Education will be led by the Minister of Education. So the ministry is the group and the minister is the person. And then we have a government official, someone that works for the government serving citizens. An example of this would be a policeman. A policeman works for the government. A firefighter works for the government at public government hospitals. All of those doctors and nurses also works for the government. So they might be examples of government officials, right? People in the people serving industry, like serving citizens, is what the last point over here says. You can page to page number 80, which is where you will find that. You also have examples of qualities of government officials, which I have here. So government officials should have specific qualities, which is mentioned on page 80. And here's just a little snippet from page 80 as well. So our government officials need to be very well educated. They need to make sure that they know everything there is to know about the department that they work for. So, for example, the Minister of Finance needs to have a lot of knowledge in economics and money and things like that. If he had no knowledge of money and how money works and what is best for the country in terms of money and investment, then he has no business running the Department of Finance or the Ministry of Finance, because he's not very well educated in that field of finance. So that is why we say our government officials need to be well educated in the field that they are working. A government official should also be a good citizen. So if our constitution in a country states that you shall not steal, you shall not lie, you shall not murder anyone, you will be a good example. You need to lead by example as a government official. You can't go around throwing papers on the floor. You can't go around um, trashing your cars and making accidents and things like that. You need to be a good citizen. So you need to live right by your people of the country, and you need to lead by example. So we make sure that we live as good citizens because we watch those around us and those in the media and those in places or positions of power. They live as good citizens, so we live as good citizens. And then also a government official needs to be in good health. Basically, they need to be healthy because they have very, very stressful and exhausting jobs. So they need to have very good health in order to serve the country. And remember, government officials are people who serve the citizens. They are there to make sure that we are safe. They are there to make sure that we are in good health. They are there to make sure that the country remains a happy, free, comfortable, clean environment for everyone. So they also need to be in good health because they are taking care of so many other people. That is all on page number 80. For page 81, we make examples of government officials that keep us safe. So the government officials that keep us safe is law courts, so judges and lawyers and people who basically fight for our rights. And then firefighters, if there's any fires, they put out the fires because we, as normal citizens, can't just run into a blazing fire. We're not properly qualified to do that. And then also policemen make sure that our streets are safe, make sure that there's no crime, make sure that no wrong is being done to any specific citizen in the country, right? So the policemen, the law courts, prisons, the firefighters, all are government bodies. So they work as a team to keep all of us safe. And the police officers can arrest people that break the law. Once someone has been found breaking the law, they are sent to court where a judge listens to the case and the court gives a sentence such as a fine, a punishment, or a prison sentence. But we are all good citizens, so we won't ever have any run-ins with the police, right? And basically, that is it for our working for the government lesson. You are going to have to do page number 51 in your activity book for lesson number 2's activity, which I will take you through in another lesson or another video. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you learned quite a bit about the government and what it takes to work for the government. So if any of you would like to work for the government, you know what it takes or what you are going to need to do in your life in order to become a government official or minister or working for a specific ministry. Thank you so much for tuning in, boys. I will see you next time.